It's not often that we get to see the best of the best clash against each other, whether that's RLCS or in ranked, because oftentimes those ranked lobbies will go either unstreamed or unsaved. But that is not going to be the case here today, as we have ourselves a very high-level lobby. 2 ranked matches between Zen and Exotic, and Rawas and Abdullah. Now, Zen and Rawas, I'm guessing, are the 2 players you guys probably don't need any help with, not just because they're great players, but because they're also 1v1ers. But Exotic is a recent world champion playing alongside BDS, and Abdullah is a member of R8, I believe it is, or at least still was. I have a feeling that just like everywhere else in every other region, there's going to be a lot of shakeup over in MENA, and people are going to be looking to include Abdullah in one of the best teams in the region, because he has been a very solid player, and he's proving my point right now as I speak. We are watching from Zen POV alongside his teammate Exotic on the orange side, and we're going to stick with Zen throughout the rest of the game, and then we'll go ahead and watch Rawas in game number 2. Zen getting demoed here in the back corner as him and the world champion, which he is queuing up with. Rawas and Abdullah have just fallen into, being teammates together here in these 2 lobbies, but Zen and Exotic have been intentionally queuing here early in the season, as Zen is going to get this out to a cherry-picking Exotic in order to get their first goal. Now, I'm sure nobody is going to think too much about the fact that Zen is playing alongside the world champion, as everybody has started to speculate what's going to happen with Vitality going into the next season. Zen has signed a multiple-year contract with Vitality, so chances are he's going to be staying with them in some form or fashion. The question is, who is going to be his teammate or his teammates alongside him? Now, the chances that he gets Exotic, probably not high. People are going to love to speculate because they're playing 2s right now, partied, but I think this happens a lot with various team members. My guess is the world champions have one of the highest likelihoods to stick together, but of course you do never know, as Zen gets a nice dish off the back wall and side flips in to tie the game. Both Zen and Abdullah are going to slight cheat here on this double diagonal kickoff, and Zen got around 1 and a reset to get around Abdullah to finish it off. A great solo play that was enabled by that close cheat to be right on the ball, ready to go. I think you're going to see a lot of cheating from players in 1v1 now, or sorry, in 2v2 nowadays, as that second man. Zen with a highly mechanical sidewall double to get the ball out to Exotic, and he will end up outplaying 2 players to make it 4-2 in favor of the French team. France versus Saudi Arabia is just quite the rivalry brewing here in Rocket League ever since the addition of KSA. Oh my goodness, Exotic, that placement. Zen put it right on his car too to enable him to shoot that, but man, that was just pixel perfect placement. And it's going to be a 5-2 lead as Zen pre-flips out to the ball to try and tap this one up. He tried to take out defenders as well, but Rawas did a good job dodging, and Exotic, a very interesting save back towards his net where he intentionally pulled off to allow Zen to come in and take over. No reason to try and keep going and try and dribble it to the ground, use up all the last bit of your boost. It's very awkward when you know you have Zen behind you. Just give up and let him take over, as he's going to try and pass up to Zen. It almost seemed like maybe a slight finger slip if Zen was going to try and shoot Exotic's pass. Instead, just a side flip to stick with the play. Now he's going to fake a pass back out to him and cut infield, but not quite good enough in order to get it inside that far post. Rawas actually upfield ahead of the play there off that one. So if they had gotten a decent enough 50, they might have been able to counter, but Abdullah did enough to buy them time. A double commit to Exotic, just beats out everybody, and that'll be enough. 6-2. This first game that we're going to check out is going to go in favor of Zen and Exotic, but we have a second game between these guys coming right up. Let's hop onto Rawas POV for this second game. He is going to be playing in the version 1 Octane. I feel like we see him dabble a little bit in the Octane in ranked, but I don't think I ever see him do it in RLCS anymore. He seems to always go back to the Fennec when it's time to truly lock in. And since we talked a little bit about, where everybody's going to end up in the next season, I think the Falcons are one of the teams that people are seeing as a team that could very realistically not change, which to me is, you know, a crazy thing to say or an absurd thing to say about any team. I've always been somebody who feels like every team in Rocket League is going to switch every single end of the season. But the Falcons dominated their region, and I think that that's maybe reason enough to not really look anywhere else. The Twins and TRK none of them are really falling off or are terribly weak links, and they own the region right now. So I think that this team actually could stay together. Plus, they're with the Falcons, and I think the Falcons in general are, you know, the highest desired organization to be with when you're in MENA. So maybe if this team was the best team and not on the Falcons, there could be some kind of mix-up, say like we saw last time where the Twins went to join TRK and went to join the biggest org in the region. That is not going to happen. They already are with the Falcons. I'm sure the Falcons are going to want to keep them happy after having one of the best teams, if not, as we, you know, often thought, maybe the best team in the world, but just couldn't quite finish it out multiple times. The Falcons could stay the same. I think that's what we should expect. BDS, Falcons, G2, and maybe just about everybody else switching it up. Maybe Furia as well, after they, or not switching it up after they, you know, did so well in their region. But usually it's a safer bet to expect a change than to not. But no goals here in this second game between these same two duos, as Zen not going to try and win past Exotic and fight into the 50, but instead drop the ball off to his teammate, who has unfortunately lost control of the ball. And now Exotic going to the ceiling. What a nice double. Abdullah there on the backboard to clean up, and Zen attempting to pass to himself and pre-flip back out. Not going to work. Rawas gets a dribble out of the corner, a heavy touch to make sure Exotic misses, and Abdullah is actually just going to put enough heat on it that it will be a goal. Even though Zen was in the right spot in net, he just guides it in, and Rawas and Abdullah will take the early lead again. They were not able to hold on to it last time around. In fact, I think they scored the first two goals and then maybe didn't score again after 6 straight for Zen and Exotic. Rawas bumped by Zen on his rotation back around, but nothing really comes of that. A reset and down to the ground for Rawas before being forced to give it up. Swinging wide on the opposite side of the field of Abdullah, trying to let him go to work, and Abdullah went for a very aggressive challenge all the way to the ceiling to get a reset, and it kind of left Rawas out to dry. Looks like he tried to make the right challenge to make up for it, but did not get the read. And Exotic gets around him. Now Abdullah's going to lose a midfield challenge off the kickoff. Rawas gets past Zen, and then the patience to fake Exotic and not play the ball into him. We've seen him do that multiple times now. This time, he's going to have Abdullah around to finish off the play for him after winning the 50. And his team up 2-1. Rawas actually slightly trailing behind Zen is going to be rewarded by being able to get the demo and now into an air dribble of his own. Cannot get the backboard double, and Zen always has one more touch, it would seem. But either way, that plays into Abdullah, who is just dancing around the net with Zen and Exotic. Rawas got baited in slightly, and he is going to get beat all the way back to the side of the field. It seemed like such a good opportunity. Maybe Rawas was expecting a higher pop from Abdullah as he creeped up, but really Abdullah just ended up passing it into the control of Zen and Exotic. Made it a tough time for Rawas. Abdullah, nice drop down instead of taking the shot. Zen on the back wall, prepared to jump down and make a play on Abdullah's shot. Instead of putting the ball on nets, he just tosses it down to Rawas, lets him do the finish, completely throws off Zen's setup on the back wall. And now a 3-2 Rawas early challenge. Exotic does well to juggle the ball over the top of him, but Rawas got what he wanted, which was a dispossession, and allow his teammate to do the work from there. And now he's actually going to steal Zen's ground double, and constantly turning on the ball to make sure these guys are sweating. On a high bounce on 0 boost, he'll finally back off. Exotic through the air. Abdullah, this time the pre-jump is much more effective, but Rawas got a little bit ahead of himself and went over the top of the ball. Unlike last time where I think Abdullah was a little overzealous and made Rawas, play from a tough position. I think Abdullah did a pretty decent job that time. And Rawas got just a little panicky. But either way, they did not concede. 30 seconds left to go. Need to hold off the French duo as Abdullah chasing down to 50 into the back of Zen's car. Rawas throwing in a wall dash as he heads up the side wall, and a bump on Zen gets him out of the play, and Rawas will backboard double on the ground to win this game 4-2. Surprise, surprise, there was a game number 3 between these guys in ranked. I did not realize it until after I had recorded the first couple games, but hopefully you guys saw in the beginning the nice little warning that there was, in fact, 3 games. And this time, we're going to go ahead and watch from the World Champions perspective, because I think a few people have been asking about, you know, an exotic analysis. It could be worth going back and watching through the RLCS MVP's POV, because I think he's somebody who has often been very underrated. He certainly wasn't considered to be, you know, number 1 going into the LAN when we saw the top 25 rankings from the people who like to do those rankings, like Johnny and T-Bates. You know, you really, everybody in those conversations did not have exotic number 1. What a shot in order to give Rawas and Abdullah the opening goal. Abdullah absolutely banging the ball. We couldn't really see it there for a moment because Exotic was tabbing in and out of ball cam. But that being said, it was a well-deserved, you know, World Championship MVP for Exotic. So let's take a look at how he matches up in this ranked game, as he's going to see an opportunity to allow Zen to score by trying to pump Abdullah. Man, Abdullah really shining here in the first minute of this game, showing just how good he can be. And I don't understand what the plan was there, and yet it almost worked perfectly. It almost turned into a team pinch into the ceiling and directly into the net, but it was just a bit too high. And now Exotic trying to be a pest to Rawas, recognizing that he needs to start heading back before Zen pinches it across the length of the field. Bit of a whiff from Exotic. Now Zen going to try and bump Rawas, and he did not get a good enough touch on him in order to allow Exotic to dunk on an open net. Abdullah catches Exotic on the rotation with Zen on 0 boost. Oh, Exotic just slipped right into it. Actually didn't even seem like Abdullah was necessarily online, and then they just go ahead and Fireburner and Garrett each other. But you know what? They do not get punished. It is still only 1 goal, I should say, for Rawas and Abdullah, as Abdullah gets over the top of Zen. Exotic bringing this to the ground. A little bit high of a bounce to not just go for a second touch right away. Forced to use a little bit of extra boost that he does have in order to clear it out of danger. And now Rawas going to have a little bit of a 1v1. The reset falls far off the ball, and Exotic does not get psyched out. Does steal it away, and we saw him earlier do a great job of finishing these, you know, cherry-picking type plays up ahead, where Zen dimes the ball and he gets the finish. But this time around, they were not able to connect. Again, Exotic slightly ahead of the play, and a musty. Oh my goodness, a great passing play between the two of them. Again, it's Zen, this time putting a little bit more flair on the pass, but a great finish all the same from Exotic. Zen cheating up and getting on the ball with 0 boost, and Exotic essentially just having faith, not sticking up there with him at all, leaving him to grab the 100 and saying, go score all by yourself without a bit of boost. It's a great save from Zen on a nice setup and reset from Abdullah. Exotic going to take over from here. 2 defenders to beat. Over the top of one, trying to turtle shot on the other. Either way, it does set up Zen, who went for the knuckleball slow shots in an attempt to try and get it right over the top, but just barely hitting the woodwork and out. 1-1 as Exotic's going to get beat. Zen has to clear to the backboard. Looks like Exotic was essentially offering to take over the ball if Zen wanted him to, but Zen does stay on it himself, as Exotic seemed to be worried about a quick play from Abdullah. Wanted to get the ball up in the air quickly. Abdullah was actually nowhere around, so it ends up just being a tee up for Zen, who is not able to score. Now a 23 boost Exotic sticking around to be a pest. Zen living in the future before Abdullah even launched that ball. He was up there ready for it. Rawas the fake. What a read from Exotic. That's actually such a hard play to make, to get back down to the ground and still get a great challenge on that ball when Rawas faked him low. Oh my goodness, what a save from Zen. He can't get the in and outs. So it is going to be 2-1 for Rawas and Abdullah with under a minute left to go in this pseudo best of 3 here in ranked. We did watch them in the order in which they were played, so you do get to feel the same tension that these guys did based on how they've been playing against each other. As a big clear to go back to Zen. Exotic does manage to find Abdullah, so it's a 1v1. Rawas cleans up the backboard. And Exotic, a great first touch to not go to the back wall where he knew the ball was protected. Instead, kept it close to himself, but even then, wasn't able to create anything out of it. A big whiff. Zen will cover for it as Rawas unable to capitalize, and he's been doing a great job. Exotic has been undercutting Rawas, not allowing him to rotate back, but they need to score with just 6 seconds left to go. They will get it as Zen air dribbles, does not quite get his own air dribble in, but does drop the ball on the goal line and then bumps that last defender in order to give Exotic the chance to score. Will there be 0-second madness? No. So into overtime and another kickoff as Zen and Rawas meet at the midfield. Exotic into the back corner, deciding not to challenge Abdullah high, instead waiting for him to come to the ground and dunk him there, as Rawas is going to double and send the ball sailing away despite very little or arguably no pressure on the ball. So I don't think he needed to do that. Exotic to the backboard, drops the ball to Zen, but that shot is well covered. As Abdullah, or sorry, I should say Exotic, breaks up the dribble. This 50 pinched high. You can see Exotic trying to decide whether or not he's going to dive in and follow or go pick up the midfield. Zen does leave it for him. As now Exotic has two defenders here in the corner. And what is going to happen to end this game? What a crazy way to score here. I did not expect this game to end. Zen pops the ball up. Rawas is around in the corner. Abdullah cheating up a little bit. But then the next thing you know, the ball is just rolling straight in the net. I feel like I have to watch from Rawas and Abdullah's perspective. So here is Rawas as he turns back in, deciding, oh, I guess I don't want to challenge the ball. I think he's thinking that Abdullah is maybe not as deep into the corner. You know, Abdullah starts to creep up here, but then gets in too deep and decides he needs to start turning around right at the wrong time when the ball pinches out. So I think Abdullah just needs to slow down here and not follow so deep into the corner, as Rawas is clearly forcing this back wall. But either way, Zen and Exotic, they're going to win the best of three. This is the only 3 games I saw between these duos, but a very nice set of 3 games. And, you know, I think probably goal of the video was the first goal in this one. Let me get back to it again. The first goal from Zen and Exotic. We'll watch it from Zen's POV as he launches the musty here on this one. Oh my goodness, what a launch. Preventing it from hitting the ground and actually sailing it to Exotic. So a great game. The French team will win. So French ranked, maybe just slightly better than this Saudi duo that was able to go up against them.